Wow, this cave is so beautiful. Look at that. I'm back with another reaction. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Lord of the Lost and their video for Priest. I was actually having a conversation with one of my patrons on Patreon, hi Andy, about how there's filmmakers in this metal genre space who work with multiple, bands and acts, and how their style of filmmaking is pretty consistent across these videos, even if there's different themes or different looks to them, like they still bring something really specific. And so instead of looking at specific bands, we could take a look at maybe looking at, specific filmmakers. And I really love that suggestion. And so he suggested that we take a look at Lord of the Lost because there's a specific team behind them that has been doing really spectacular videos, like all across Germany with us, and I think Switzerland as well, because they're Swiss. They're called VDPictures, and the people behind them are Matteo Fadiva Fabiani and Chiara Cerami. So just wanted to give them a shout out for the amazing work that they've been doing, because the videos do look really, really great, and there's some really fantastic stylistic choices there. So let's take a look at their work today that they did for Priest by Lord of the Lost. Wow, beautiful opening. That looks stunning. Really beautiful music. The opening's kind of a little atmospheric, and so they chose to shoot it in the woods. Also very atmospheric and beautiful environment. They chose for a very sort of warm tone to everything, which looks really beautiful. And so they're shooting a lot of scenes here in very shallow depth of field. So that means that you only see a small part that's sharp here, like this person's eyes here are sharp, but then right behind this netting here, this veil, everything is just very blurry. And that's what's caused by this depth of field. And there's beautiful bokeh in the background with the reflections and the sunlight and everything. Really looking beautiful. And the costumes are awesome. I love the sclera lenses that they're wearing, so it looks like their eyes are all black. We actually, like in my short film, had our actress wear these types of contacts too for her demon outfit, and she wasn't really used to, averse to touching her eyes, so her and the makeup artist really struggled getting them in. They're really quite hard to get into your eyes, and a little bit uncomfortable as well, just as a funny side note. So that's really cool. And what I also really like here, there's a lot of slow motion footage, so they're moving very fluidly through this forest, almost gliding, and the camera movement really works with that as well. It's also gliding with them, and the pace of the edits really goes with that too. So it's really nice, and it really fits the music. And what I think is really cool is that this guy's hair and his whole look here, I think they with the makeup made his skin even lighter, or even it's white. It's not skin tone white, but proper white. And he almost looks like a Targaryen, right, with this whole look. And he really stands out, which makes it easy to kind of differentiate him from these people that are following him. I don't know if maybe he is going to be someone who ran away from this sort of cult maybe, and he's trying to escape. Just a guess from what we've seen so far. I might be completely off, but that's it so far. And yeah, as I was saying, it's like everything looks really sort of yellow tone. They really took out a lot of the greens. Like there's barely any green left, so they desaturated the greens to make that to create this look. So it's a very specific look, a very intentional that way, and looks very pretty.
From a million drying lakes, I have cried the tears of none. Empty shivers calling for my time far undone. I assume that there is no one that can find my peace of mind. They assume that I am guilty, but guilt I see none.
All right, just pausing it there in this natural pause. So what I kind of noticed here, so obviously it's really nice. They have this beautiful cave. My goodness, I don't know where this was shot, but it's a beautiful environment. If you know where it was shot, let me know, because I always love to know like the location of where people shoot. Again, like all of the green is almost taken out. We barely see any green. The yellows are still there. Something that really stands out to me as a filmmaker, though, is this little bit of, is that trash? This blue bit? I don't know. And that is something, unless this is relevant, it may be for the story. I don't know if that's something that they're going to pick up or something, and this is some foreshadowing. It's possible. But if it was trash or something and they just didn't notice during the day of shooting, like that's something that I would have probably color corrected or make it not stand out as much, because right now for me it's really stands out. So that's why I'm wondering if maybe there's some narrative relevance to it. And that's actually an interesting thing to understand, is like how filmmakers lead your eyes, and color is used for that. Camera movement can be used for that, as well as like how we frame certain things. Depth is also used for this. So as humans, we prefer looking into into the distance rather than up against a flat wall, because that's why you'll often see, even on YouTube as well, and I'm trying to do it a little bit in my background, but it's really limited because my apartment is just not that big. But you will find that people try to shoot into a corner, basically, because the corner in whatever space, especially if you're indoors, is going to give your eyes something to be drawn towards and makes the space look bigger. And so that is just certain tricks that filmmakers use to direct your attention, because otherwise sometimes you don't know what to look at. And I think another reason why perhaps here our eyes are so drawn to this blue bit, first of all, because it's the only blue thing that we're seeing, but also it's in the bright part and it's further away than what's happening here in the foreground. So even though it's a beautiful composition here, the guy in the foreground is very dark. And of course they did that on purpose because they want to have this beautiful silhouette. But then you have to be extra mindful of whatever you have in the background, because immediately, like, our brains are, you know, a little bit like the dog in Up, right? Like squirrel. And we're looking at whatever is in the background. Movement, actually, by the way, is also a good one. We're very sensitive to those kinds of things. So ramble aside, let's look at some more stuff that is really beautiful here. So we have him entering this cave here, and this is a beautiful shot. I love the lighting of the cave here. I'm curious to see where the story is going to take us. And we see that he has this lantern set up here.
Invidious to the core, I betrayed to be the savior in times to come and times of yore.
Wow, this cave is so beautiful. Look at that. I mean, they probably set up like something like a smoke machine here somewhere to sort of have all this beautiful sunlight to give it something to bounce off of. And then, you know, they really are using this space really well because what a beautiful set. Nature is always the best set, in my opinion. Look, and this is, by the way, exactly what I was talking about in terms of depth. You can see how the way that this was shot, we have this guy here in the foreground, the singer, and then we have a plane here, and then we have another guitar player like set up all the way back there, and there's someone here, so you have all these different depths. So what you do with this type of depth is really like give this sense of like scope, and also like it makes it feel more grandiose even than it already is. And especially with a cave like this, it's really cool that they were able to really use that environment to maximize on that. Really, really digging their outfits, by the way. Like, I love how stylistic the whole look is with the really white, pale skin and the beautiful black costumes here. And that apparently is a part of this director duo that so Chiara apparently is the costume designer, and you can really tell that someone who specifically like works with costumes and costuming is working on this because it looks so well thought out. Really love it. So what's interesting here is that I think the story is evolving. I'm not sure what's happening here yet, but we can see that a little bit more green is reintroduced into these shots. And usually, like, filmmakers do try to play with color to tell a story as well, because especially with music videos, when we don't have any dialogue to tell our stories, you really have to use like the full scope of cinematic language and like film language to tell the story. So that we see more green here to me means that there's maybe some sense of peace returning to this guy. He's now going out and he finds this body here, which is interesting. So we haven't really seen what or who that is. So I'm very curious. And lastly, I wanted to point out that we have some beautiful colors here in the lighting. So in the dark here, you can tell that the blacks, they've pushed up a little bit of the red to make it look almost purplish. And we have a beautiful blue light shining on him from the back to really like make him stand out even more. And also to make sure that it's still clear where he's sitting, because he's wearing a black costume in a very dark environment. Sometimes it can be really hard to still see them properly. So you need light from multiple sides. And then we have a very warm, almost yellow-orange light on his face here. And we have the little lantern here in the foreground. So it's just, it's a very great composition. I love this. I'm gonna take it back just a notch, and then we'll go from there. Really cool. So he finds this girl in the forest, right? Again, here, by the way, where I paused it, you can see the beautiful lighting again. It's like, here's the blue, and we got the really nice, warm yellow on her face. And if you've been with me for a little while, I always point this out because I love this blue and yellow play. We see it a lot in the way that these videos are lit. It's a very, you know, a thing that a lot of people do at this moment in time. It's because it just looks really good. So I want to point out as well, it's about how the band is performing in this cave here. So you can tell that they're actually like moving in slow motion while they're performing. So to achieve that, depending on how much you want to slow it down, the band actually has to perform 2 times the regular speed or 4 times the regular speed. It's probably 2 times. I don't think they did 4 times. 4 times we'll be shooting at 120 FPS, frames per second, because you have to shoot a multiple of 30, right? Because 29.97 or 30 is the usual frame rate that these videos are delivered in, or 24, but that's getting into details. But if you shoot it in 60 FPS, you can slow it down twice. If you shoot it in 120 FPS, you can shoot it down slow it down 4 times. It looks like it was slowed down, but it also means that they have to perform it a lot quicker. So it's kind of cool to see.
And he knows I am right. Hold on, my love. We're on it, won't. No, one's yours. We're on it, won't. Don't fall, oh blood. We're on it, won't. No one turns your mind.
Ooh, there's more. Cool. Okay, so turns out that she can do magic. What a cool twist. So she's taking down these priests or cultists or whatever we want to call them that are coming after them, and she's actually then revealed to maybe be one of them? I'm not sure, because she all of a sudden had the upside down cross on her face and the dark eyes too, except she then proceeded to kill them. So I'm not 100% sure what's happening, but that was pretty cool. And I love that they had the screen was kind of tremoring, I guess, a little bit shaking with her like magic stuff. Like even though there wasn't like big VFX or like sparkles or God knows. So really love that they kept that relatively simple. We still, at least that part, we understand what's happening. Like I don't entirely understand her role yet, but maybe we'll see in like this outro part, because I feel like the music's over. Really beautiful song, by the way. I really liked it. And there was one shot I also wanted to specifically point out that I hadn't mentioned before that I really like. And that's this one. Love this shot. I feel like this is so beautiful because so this is a drone shot, right? And it's straight down. And so we see the beautiful overgrown rocks here. So we have like ferns and ivies and God knows all of that. There's some trees and shrubs here. The ground is absolutely littered with leaves. And he, again, like really stands out with this really pale face and these hands. It's really cool. It's quite jarring. And the way that he's moving, right, it's really beautiful. It's almost dancer-like, ballet-like. And I love that part. And in terms of the color grading, again, it's very heavy on the yellows and the reds here. And it's giving more of like a fall, autumn type vibe. Really cool. Love that. So let's go back to where we were. Let's watch the outro and see if we can learn what's happening in this story here. Ooh.
If the longing for someone is measured by the waves I am drowning tonight.
So she was actually the priest, I guess. She was the boss, the final boss. And she ended up converting him, it looks like. So very cool, very, very nice. And I just wanted to say is like, as I was thinking about the slow motion and listening to the music, it's really cool how well that slow-mo style basically suits the music. And it was kind of that big, more grandiose type of music and the way that it was played. And that really, really fit. So I appreciate that a lot. Really beautiful video. So we see a little bit of where this was filmed. So this was in Germany and filmed in August of 2020. So that was right in the middle of COVID. Yay! So maybe that's also why they shot it outside. That makes sense. So either way. What a great video. Really enjoyed that. I'm really looking forward to checking out some more of their stuff, and that was super enjoyable. So thank you so much for the recommendation, Andy. If you want to also recommend videos to me, like my patrons get some special voting rights and suggesting rights, you can find me on Patreon. I'll put the link right here. If you enjoy these videos, you can also subscribe here on YouTube. Check out some more of my channel. I've really been doing a lot of really fantastic, really enjoyable reactions to so many of these fantastic artists' videos. Please join me for the next one. Peace.